After waiting for tens of thousands of years, the Snow Leopard family finally had a perfect heir. But she just had to marry into the rival Black Panther family, and after a difficult labor to give birth to her child, she lost her own life. The old master was heartbroken and furious, but he had no choice but to clean up his daughter's mess. Soon, 7 years passed. Although the girl grew up safely, she showed not a single trace of the Snow Leopard family's abilities. The family head's patience finally reached its limit. He brutally ordered the servants to lock his granddaughter in the attic. From then on, the girl began to suffer inhumane treatment, even playing out a scene in the attic of leopard fights mouse for scraps. On this day, the head of the family stormed into the attic. He found some excuse to start beating and scolding the girl, then dragged her all the way out to the balcony. He threw her hard onto the ground, giving her no chance to resist. Till's hands were numb and aching from the cold, and the snow around her continued to pile up. But right now, all she could do was shiver. Soon, the door to the house opened again. The current heir to the family, Cornelia, walked in. She was Till's aunt. Hearing the girl's heart-wrenching pleas for help, she chose to ignore them. After all, today was the day she was taking her daughter, Rowan, shopping for clothes. She absolutely couldn't let anything spoil the mood. Rowan was Till's cousin. The only difference between them was Rowan's blue eyes. They were the symbol of the Snow Leopard family. If only her own eyes were also blue. Perhaps then she too would be treated with kindness. At this thought, tears streamed uncontrollably down her cheeks. She begged her aunt relentlessly to let her in, but her aunt showed not a single shred of pity. She claimed that whether she was a Snow Leopard or a Black Panther, she wouldn't freeze to death in this weather. With that, she turned and left. Who knows how much time passed. The heavy snow covered Till's entire body, and her consciousness began to fade. Images of Rowan and her grandfather laughing together flashed through her mind. When Till opened her eyes again, she found herself back in the attic. It seemed someone had saved her, but looking at the wound on her hand, she was lost in thought. This was the wound Rowan had given her a month ago by pushing her down the stairs. This time, she decided she would no longer sit by and wait to die. To escape the fate of freezing to death, she looked at her golden eyes in the mirror. An idea formed in her mind. Maybe she could take a gamble and go to the Black Panther family. Now was the perfect time to escape. Her cousin was busy competing with other girls her age to become a candidate for crown princess. The family was busy making arrangements and had no time to bother with her. She grabbed her last few scraps of food and began the first step of her plan. But it was almost ruined by a mouse. To assert her dominance, she transformed back into her Snow Leopard form, scaring the mouse so badly it fled for its life. She then crawled under a blanket to wait for nightfall. Her desperate situation made her wonder what if her father rejected her, just like her grandfather. What would she do then? After all, her mother died just to give birth to her. Then there would truly be nowhere left to go. It wouldn't matter how many times she was reborn. Soon, night fell, and the little Snow Leopard made her move. Out of respect, she decided to first visit her grandfather's room to grab some valuables to pay a coachman to take her to her father's territory. She went to the head's office and began to rummage through his drawers and cabinets. Not only did she find money, but she also discovered a pendant from the Black Panther family. When she turned it over, she saw a picture of her mother. Till took it without hesitation. The plan was a success. But she'd forgotten one thing, the patrolling nanny. At first, the nanny thought it was Miss Rowan who had come out. But when she took a closer look, it was Till. And from her sneaky behavior, it was obvious she was up to no good. So she called over the nearby knights to help capture her. Till had nowhere left to run. She ran into the room across the hall, unaware that it was where the palace's distinguished guests were staying. To avoid causing a panic, the men had no choice but to go back and report to the head of the family. This was Till's first time here. The pitch-black environment filled her heart with fear. Suddenly, a figure appeared behind her and pinned her to the ground. "Who are you? What are you doing in my room?" Seeing Till trembling and speechless, the boy's mind raced. Tattered clothes, golden eyes. She probably wasn't Rowan, but that white hair was definitely the mark of a Snow Leopard. "Stop crying. If you don't say something, I'll throw you out right now." Till panicked and concisely explained that she was a Snow Leopard. She was trying to escape. But before the prince could ask any more questions, a knock came from outside. He ordered Till to follow him to the bedroom. "Get under the bed." Till immediately clung to this lifeline. She scrambled underneath with all her might. At that moment, the adjutant walked in. He claimed that a maid from the Snow Leopard family had gone mad and someone had seen her run in here. "A maid, you say? Something's definitely suspicious." The prince told them they could search, but that no one was to set a single foot inside his personal chambers. He was just on an incognito visit. He never expected to run into this kind of trouble. After the adjutant left, the prince called for Till to come out. To clear up his confusion, Till told the boy her life story. She revealed her entire plan. Upon learning that Till's father was a Black Panther, the boy was astonished. "The money you have is nowhere near enough to get there. I'll take you." Till was overjoyed. She quickly agreed. The prince casually summoned a magical orb. He ordered Till to get inside so she wouldn't be discovered. The environment inside was chaotic. Tiel cautiously looked around. Merely touching a doll scared her out of her wits. However, the doll she touched dissolved like sand. Then, she touched a glowing pillow in front of her. It didn't disappear. Thank goodness. Now, she finally had a place to rest. The offspring of a snow leopard and a black panther was a clumsy girl with no divine power. She had been locked in an attic by her maternal grandfather. So she planned to escape, only to accidentally run into the crown prince, who was on an incognito visit. After hearing her story, the boy decided to take her to the Black Panther's territory. The next day, the prince's personal adjutant exchanged some symbolic pleasantries with the head of the Snow Leopard family. Then he prepared to leave, which greatly displeased the grandfather. He had spent over a month preparing for the selection of the crown princess. His pride and joy, Rowan, hadn't even made her debut, and the distinguished guest from the palace was already in a hurry to leave. This must be related to Tiel's escape last night. What gave him an even bigger headache was Rowan, who couldn't hold back any longer and burst in, joyfully asking everyone, "Does this mean I can go to the capital?" The adjutant's attitude was clear. Rowan had already been rejected, but she still wore a naive expression. She relentlessly pestered the adjutant, asking when he would come back to take her to the capital. The man ignored her, muttered a farewell, and turned to leave. Although the head of the family was resentful, there was nothing he could do. He forced a smile and escorted the group until the very end. But just before they left, the crown prince put him in his place. The sound of a closing door echoed through the entire mansion. "These guys are so noisy." The crown prince grumbled impatiently. If it weren't for the fact that his own power was far too strong, to the point his body couldn't handle it, he wouldn't be in such desperate need of a partner to share the burden. And that played right into the hands of those power-hungry nobles. Just then, the crown prince suddenly remembered something. The little snow leopard was still in the space he had created. He gently took Tiel out. This action startled his aide. Before he could even collect himself, the crown prince announced that he was going to the Black Panther's territory to return the little one. Look at her eyes. She was a snow leopard with the golden eyes of a black panther. This reminded the aide of Rina and Cassius, who had started a family despite their family's objections. It was said that the two had a pair of twins. The wife had mysteriously disappeared during her third pregnancy. Cassius had no choice but to hold a funeral without Rina's body. This is truly bombshell news. Soon, they arrived at the Black Panther's territory. "We need to see the head of the house. Tell him his daughter has been found." Upon hearing this, the butler immediately led everyone inside. The luxurious decor left Tila stunned. This place was nearly the size of 2 snow leopard manors combined. It was her first time wearing a formal dress to a place like this. If it weren't for her big brother Ian by her side, she would have felt completely out of place. The group arrived at the reception room. Tila was so timid that she didn't dare to sit down the entire time. Well, that wouldn't do. Ian had to step in. As the delicious food was brought out, Tila's stomach started to growl. Yet, she hesitated to touch anything. "This is for you. Go on, eat." Happiness had come all too suddenly. Tila let out a sound of surprise. Just then, the main doors suddenly swung open. The one in the lead was the head of the Black Panther family, her own father. Tila was at a complete loss. The man looked like the type you don't mess with. She had rehearsed her opening lines countless times, but right now, she couldn't utter a single word. Cassius was the first to speak sharply. "You are?" Tila quickly jumped in, afraid she would lose her nerve again. She took out a pendant, claiming that her mother was Rina. "Please, I'm begging you, let me stay here. I eat very little. I don't mind where I sleep." This humble plea caught the man off guard, striking him right in the heart. He could hardly imagine what those people had done to this child. He then prepared to reach out and touch Tila's head. But who would have known? Tila nervously shrank back again and again. The man did his best to control his emotions. He ordered a maid to take the child to get some proper rest, saying he had something to discuss with his guests. Being sent away for some unknown reason, Tila felt a knot in her stomach. She didn't have many coins left. She had no idea how she was going to make it. Perhaps her only option was to sell this expensive dress she was wearing, even though it was a gift from her brother Ian. But she had no other choice right now. A maid finally arrived, late. Seeing Tila silently crying, she hurried over to comfort her. "Have something to eat first. The head of the house will be over in a little while." Hearing this, Tila wiped away her tears. This warm food. After today, who knew when she'd get to eat again? She had to finish every last bite. Meanwhile, Cassius was learning the full story of his daughter's past. Covered in scars at such a young age, and even called a psychotic maid by the snow leopards, he began to see the whole picture. The great families were typically led by the one with the strongest abilities. Since the snow leopards had held the position for several consecutive generations, their power had clearly declined. Now, they were merely clinging to the empty title of Duke. Reina's birth had shattered this status quo. Her immense power meant she could have easily become the new heir. But she insisted on marrying him, even though the current heir to the family was not particularly talented. So, they chose to hide Till away, hoping for the next Rina to appear. "This is terrible, Lord Cassius. The young lady the guest brought with him has fainted." The man panicked and rushed to the dining room where Tiel was. At that moment, Tiel was lying in a maid's arms, mumbling to herself, her face deathly pale. Carry her to bed, get her into some comfortable clothes, and get the physician here immediately. Fortunately, it was nothing serious. It was just a case of malnutrition, combined with sudden overeating. Her stomach simply couldn't handle it. I should have told her sooner that she could stay here forever. It's all Daddy's fault. Afterwards, Cassius cut a lock of the girl's hair. He needed a paternity test to add her to the family registry. His own lock of hair was at the temple. He had always believed this day would come. With that, the matter was settled for now. The crown prince also had to depart for the palace. He regretted not being able to say a proper goodbye to Tiel. Soon, Tiel's grandfather heard the news and rushed over, impatient to see his granddaughter. Her father kindly reminded him, the child is still resting. He could only sneak a quick peek, but even that one glance was enough to satisfy the old man. The Duke then gently closed the door and quietly took his leave. In her dream, Tiel was constantly running away as countless dark hands tried to drag her to her death. She awoke with a start, finding herself lying on a soft bed. She instinctively ran to the door and heard her father speaking with a strange man outside. I'm going to kill that bastard. Those sharp words made Tiel extremely uneasy. Just as she thought, this family wouldn't accept her either. Late that night, Tiel transformed into a little snow leopard and made another move. Just run. The little snow leopard had just run away from home. When she was caught by her father, she curled into a ball, trembling. She kept begging the man not to kill her. It was this intense fear that awakened the magical power hidden inside her. A golden light flashed for a moment, and Tiel fainted. When she opened her eyes again, her father was already watching over her. She remembered him saying some warm words right before she passed out. But she was too frightened at the time to hear them clearly. It wasn't until the private doctor appeared that Tiel understood her status, and her father's heart had risen by more than just a single level. He claimed that Tiel's golden panther eyes were a ticket to do whatever she wanted in these villas. In that case, let's start by filling my stomach, she ordered. The maids brought delicious desserts and began to feed her. The overwhelming feeling of happiness almost made Tiel change back into her snow leopard form. She then learned that the gentle maid from before was to be her own exclusive attendant from now on. Tiel was filled with an incredible sense of security. Meanwhile, the Duke, who still couldn't see his granddaughter, was pacing anxiously in the living room. Cassius got straight to the point. He announced that his daughter had awakened her powers last night. It was neither the ice attribute of a snow leopard, nor the fire attribute of a black panther, but the sacred power of light. This left the old man utterly stunned. A child blessed by the gods? Interesting. That kind of power is usually only the stuff of legends. There's no clear record of it in the Imperial archives. Besides, there's a secret among the Panther clan that only the family head knows. The power of light has the ability to dispel curses. Given the current turmoil, if the temple or the royal family finds out, Tiel's newly peaceful life will be thrown into chaos all over again. This wasn't what Cassius wanted to see. He just wanted his daughter to grow up happy. A few days passed quickly, but Tiel still hadn't fully adapted to life here. She sat timidly on the very edge of the sofa, until her overbearing father gently placed her in the middle. With that, Tiel's guardedness began to fade. Her father brought up the abilities that had emerged a few days prior and revealed the whole secret behind them. In just a few short days, she had gone from being a good-for-nothing to the most precious person in the Empire. Father, she asked, what can I do for our family then? This sudden display of maturity startled the man. He had no need for his daughter to do anything against her will. This philosophy was completely different from her maternal grandfather's. Even though she now had powers, her father just wanted her to eat, drink, and enjoy herself every day. She could certainly do that. Meanwhile, her maternal grandfather was still fuming that he couldn't find Tiel. Running away in this weather is a death sentence. She's just like her mother. Couldn't she just stay put? Keep searching for me. When you find her, kill her and bring her back. The next day, Tiel saw the room that had been exquisitely designed for her. It was several times larger than Rowan's room and even came with a personal butler. The Duke had also prepared many gifts for her. Speaking of the Duke, all Tiel could think of was the old man's voice she'd heard at the door, seemingly talking about killing someone. To this day, Tiel was still convinced that the Duke disliked her. Never mind him coming to see her. She learned her grandfather had been busy with work and would be back in a few days. Tiel felt an immense pressure. Soon, the two had their first formal meeting. I heard you think I dislike you. I'm here today to clear up that misunderstanding. Although he spoke as gently as possible, Tiel kept her head bowed. She had an innate fear of the title grandfather. After all, her maternal grandfather had frozen her to death on a balcony in her past life. And just recently, she'd overheard this grandfather seemingly wanting to kill her. It seemed a misunderstanding ran deep. The old man was completely baffled. He began to explain profusely, stopping just short of getting on his knees. He quickly clarified that he was talking about her maternal grandfather. He was the one he wanted to kill. It's all that Cassius's fault, going on about how the child is shy with strangers and not letting me see you. Seeing her grandfather's clumsy explanation, Tiel let out a chuckle and smiled. Thank you, grandfather, for giving me such a large room. This made the old man's heart melt. Compared to his other two grandsons, the cuteness of a granddaughter was something they could never give him. He eagerly took out the 100 exquisite gifts he had prepared. Among them was a Black Panther doll, which Tiel was particularly fond of. She held it in her hands, unable to put it down. Just like your brothers, they all love this one. Tiel looked confused. It seems no one has told you. You also have two older brothers. When they heard about you, they started rushing back from the academy without a moment's rest. Is this a good thing? Tiel's worries resurfaced. They blame her for their mother's death? The answer to all this would only be revealed when they returned. For now, so as not to worry her grandfather, she began to act cute around him. Late that night, the father and son discussed the child's past, preparing to deal with the snow leopard who had given her such a dark childhood. Soon, her maternal grandfather suffered a major blow a euro. His trade routes were cut off. Supplies couldn't get in. Now, his only hope was maritime trade. What on earth is happening? His subordinate handed him a letter. The child sent by the Black Panther family is with them. The old man suddenly realized it must have been that carriage from the palace. They secretly sent Tilla away. Those despicable people. What could they possibly gain that would make everyone help her? Immediately reward the nanny from that day, as well as all the knights involved in the capture. This, Rowan could no longer sit still. After all, that was her nanny. She forbade it, but the old man had already lost his mind. For the first time, he flew into a rage at Rowan. She left without looking back. The repercussions were just beginning. In the fight for the little snow leopard's affection, the two brothers, who had never met her, formed a united front. The arrogant crown prince became their primary target. Not long before, Tilla was desperately practicing magic in her room to prove she had a place in the Black Panther family. But unfortunately, there just wasn't enough time. Before long, she was taken to the dining room. All the family members were finally gathered together today. Perdy was the first to make a move. He elegantly introduced himself. The girl replied that her name was Tilla. She was 7 years old. So young. Ludian rudely interrupted their conversation. From the moment they met, she felt a heavy sense of oppression. But then again, neither of the two seemed to have inherited any of their mother's features. Ludian continued his verbal assault on Tilla. White hair. Should I call you a flower panther? The moment the words left his mouth, their father stood up. You seem to be talking a lot of crap. Perdy chimed in to agree. Don't be so flippant, just hurry up and eat. He then smiled warmly at Tilla, claiming he was very happy to have such a cute little sister. This finally gave the anxious girl a moment of relief. It seemed that at this first meeting, the only one who got hurt was Ludian. Didn't you say you hated having a sister? That's right, but that's only for troublesome sisters like you. Although every word Ludian said was directed at Tilla, his heart felt the complete opposite. He felt that everything was far too much of a coincidence. How could Tilla possess some light ability that could cure his madness? Everyone was just being fooled by her harmless appearance. His job was to expose her for who she really was. His two-faced nature was on full display. The next day, Tilla discovered that her two brothers were constantly following her. No matter where she went, they followed her like a shadow. The maid had said the young masters were obeying the family head's orders not to approach her directly for now. But ever since that dinner, Perdy's gentle gaze was gone. Every time they met, his eyes were full of scrutiny. Just then, a maid came to report. His Highness, the Crown Prince, has arrived. Hearing this, the spying duo jumped out from the bushes. On what grounds? We're not even allowed to get close to our sister, but this guy can see her whenever he wants? It doesn't matter if he's her savior, that's not fair. A man's damn competitive spirit was on full display. The moment they finished speaking, the Crown Prince strutted in like he owned the place. The three of them immediately started a war of words. I brought your precious sister back, and this is how the Black Panther family repays me. Perdy wanted to argue back, but his rational side told him there was probably no point. They hadn't even confirmed if she was truly their sister yet. There was nothing to be done. Tilla had no choice but to step forward and smooth things over. She pleaded with her brothers. Just a little bit of your time is all I ask. But one of the brothers immediately said no. One of them said yes, which pushed Crown Prince Lu Wei to the brink of losing it. Just then, the girl grabbed Perdy's hand. Brother, can you come with me? Faced with her adorable plea, Perdy's attitude instantly changed. He immediately agreed. Rudian, you don't have to go. You have things to do. What things could I possibly have to do? Don't you have a lot of homework from the academy? You cunning devil. On the surface, Perdy was all smiles, but in reality, he was putting a nice name on what he called supervision. He wasn't charmed like the others at all. Afterward, the group moved to the main hall. The Crown Prince asked about Till's recent situation, then snapped his fingers. He put on a display of his wealth. But while some were delighted, others were not. Perdy sniped from the sidelines. Nothing new to see here. Her brothers can afford this kind of thing too. Till knew if she didn't do something soon, the two of them were going to start bickering again. She stepped forward and picked out a relatively inexpensive dress. This one will be fine. Don't you like the gifts I brought for you? If that's not the case, then take all of them. Just take them, but your brothers can buy you things too. And once we officially announce that you're the daughter of the Black Panther family, there will be an endless stream of people trying to curry favor with us. You'll have more jewels and dresses than you can count. This shameless taunt started to annoy the crown prince. He pulled Tiel to his side and declared he was taking her to the imperial palace. Are you trying to kidnap the youngest member of the Black Panther family? The paternity test results aren't even out yet. I wouldn't go that far. Perdy completely panicked and scrambled to reclaim custody of his sister. He ordered her not to accept such invitations from anyone unless they were from the Black Panther family. Good grief, there's no need to be so worked up. With that, he turned and left. Realizing their guest might actually be angry, Tiel rushed after him to smooth things over. After all, if it weren't for the prince, she wouldn't have the wonderful life she had now. Don't worry, I will come again, and next time, he'd bring even better gifts. Checkmate. Perdy suffered a crushing defeat. He then vowed to a late-arriving Rudian that he would definitely defeat the crown prince. Just you wait and see. Everyone in the Black Panther family was extraordinarily gifted. But if they ever succumb to their feral madness, the only one who can heal them is the little snow leopard they see as most insignificant. Speaking of which, the paternity test had been sent out a long time ago, but we still haven't heard anything back. Everyone suspected that the Snow Leopard family was behind it, interfering with the temple's analysis. The thought of Tiel returning to the Snow Leopard's territory to suffer more abuse? It made the old master frantic. He decided to go to the temple himself to hurry them along and let the whole world know he had a granddaughter. Soon, there would be mountains of gifts and countless afternoon tea parties. Hearing this, Tiel grew deeply worried. When it came to socializing, she had no experience at all. Cassius noticed the subtle change on his daughter's face. He told her not to worry. If she wasn't willing, they could keep it private. That way, she wouldn't have to meet strangers. After a satisfying meal, Rudian went straight to his sister's room. Ever since getting permission to get close to her, he enthusiastically invited Tiel to ride on his shoulders for a few laps around the mansion, but his offer was met with scorn from a tardy Perdy. Compared to Rudian's reward, his storybook was a much easier way to win his sister's heart. After all, before this, she could only hide outside the door, secretly listening as the nanny told Rowan fairy tales. That's why she cherished these beautiful moments so dearly after coming here, Lordi muttered under his breath. That detestable guy, he's clearly still on guard against his sister. Yet he acts so close to her. Perdy paid no mind to his mumbling. He began to tell a story about a lion that walked into a magical forest, but Lordi immediately cut him off. Something like this is more interesting to see with your own eyes. With that, he turned and created a lion out of flames. This infuriated Perdy. What do you think you're doing in this room? You're going to scare Tiel. But on the contrary, Til's face was full of admiration. She declared that she wanted to use her powers just like her brother. As soon as she said this, the two of them began to scratch their heads. This power was innate, so why couldn't Tiel use it? Perdy decided to take her to the training grounds, hoping to clear up the doubts in his mind. He wanted to witness this so-called power of light. He guided Tiel, telling her to constantly imagine it in her mind. Then, the power would manifest. But at that moment, he looked nothing like he was just giving a demonstration. The flames engulfing his body had reached the point where they could destroy the entire place. Perdy, stop. The situation was escalating. Even he couldn't control it anymore. At that moment, the Leopard clan's generational frenzy curse emerged. Lordi tried to fight back, but his own power was completely suppressed by the berserk flames. In the face of the frenzy, his power was utterly insignificant. Jump in, only your power can heal him. The voice in her heart kept guiding the little snow leopard. Tiel no longer cared if it was real or not. As long as there was even a sliver of hope, she would try to save Perdy. Even though my brother is wary of me, I believe he's a good person. The trajectory of the flames was quickly diverted by Tiel's action. She opened her arms and embraced her brother. Please appear, just like you did before. A blinding golden light echoed through the sky, instantly vaporizing the flames. As her spiritual power faded, Tiel gradually lost consciousness. She collapsed limply into her brother's arms. Later, the two explained to their father what had happened that night. Perdy had also made a different kind of discovery. His sister's appearance had made him crave power even more while in his berserk state. And because of that, he had almost destroyed Tiel. Now, it didn't matter if she was his sister or not. This power of light that could heal him was enough for him to let down his guard. I understand now. We'll talk more after your sister wakes up. If I had known, I would have put a roof over the training grounds. There's no way the royal family could have missed a light of that magnitude. Since the legend was true, he had to speed up the paternity test. That report was the best way to protect Tiel. The next day, Tiel woke up. The first thing she was concerned about was Perdy's condition. Learning that he was alright, and that he had stayed by her side all night, Tiel was utterly astonished. Afterwards, she changed into a formal dress and tiptoed to her brother's room. Seeing his sister was safe and sound, Perdy couldn't be bothered with Lordi's verbal jabs. He stepped forward and hugged Tiel tightly. Thank you, I'll never be like that again. Just then, their father arrived. He needed to take his daughter somewhere. Along the way, he gently chided her for being too reckless. If the power of light hadn't appeared, she would have died. Still, he was grateful that Tiel had saved Perdy without a moment's hesitation. He didn't mean to blame her. It was more out of concern. In any case, you must cherish your own life. Thank you, Dad. I know. The two of them arrived at Grandpa's room. He was overjoyed to see the little girl was safe and sound. He then carried her to the bookshelf and instructed her to press the red book. The secret room then opened. It seems a paternity test won't be necessary after all. This was a secret room that only someone of the family bloodline could open. Inside was a room prepared by their ancestors for those who awaken the power of light. Guided by her grandfather, Tia stood on top of it. Golden runes appeared in the room, their general meaning being that light balances darkness. If it can be perfectly suppressed, the generations-long curse of the Black Panther family can finally be lifted.